And the truth will set you free. Trentovision is hosted by Tom Trento, an activist street fighter with earned degrees in law enforcement, theology, and philosophy. Listen and watch every weekday at 2 p.m. on AM 1470 WNN and Trentovision.com. Now, let's take a peek at Tom's view of the world. Here's Tom Trento.
Sadly, ladies and gentlemen, there's going to be more days like today. And there's probably going to be more days like today in the near future. And at the outset of this show, which is going to be a bit different than most of our shows, we'd like to extend our condolences to Chris Stevens' family and Sean Smith, the two identified Americans killed yesterday in a rat hole of a city, Benghazi, in a rat hole of a country, Libya. Now, some folks think that the liberation of Libya is a wonderful part of the Arab Spring, and some think it's going to create more problems. But notwithstanding that, Chris Stevens was a wonderful, dedicated, patriotic American. He was an Arabic-speaking individual. He loved Libya, loved the Libyans, loved doing his work, helped those who are there in that small, tiny country of 6 million, was helping those who had an interest in democracy figure out how to do that in a country that has no interest in democracy. So our condolences to the Stevens family and Sean Smith family. And we hope, ladies and gentlemen, we hope that at the end of tomorrow, really this is a two-part show. Things are breaking so rapidly that we're going to take two shows, today and tomorrow. Today's the 12th of September. Tomorrow, the 13th of September, the 19th anniversary of the Oslo Accords, which weighs into all of this in a very dramatic way.
Tom, just letting you know, your Ouija board must be working overtime right now because 2 days ago, we have a little clip where you, once again, correctly predicted what was going to happen. Should we play that clip?
Moi?
I know, it's hard. It's hard to believe.
The mystery voice is J. Mark Campbell, our director there, and you're going to play a clip. Today's the 12th of September.
Right.
2 days ago was the 10th of September, about 48 hours ago, right?
Right.
Why don't you play the clip from our show 48 hours ago? A little short 30-second piece. Go ahead. Our enemies are completely dedicated to the continuation of that kind of destruction. And in the Islamic world, dates, celebrations, unique times are target moments for jihadis. So be alert, ladies and gentlemen watching, and those of you listening. Starting now for about the next 48 hours, most likely there will be some sort of terrorist attack somewhere in recognition of the 19 jihadi martyrs from their point of view, idiots from our point of view. Okay.
That was 48 hours ago.
Okay. 48 hours ago was the 10th of September, and our show starts at 2 o'clock East Coast time. And that's the beginning of the evening in the Middle East, and that's when folks get a little agitated over there. Wait until this Friday, Juma Prayer Friday in the Middle East. You're going to see quite a bit coalesce. And should I make another prediction about inflamed embassies and consulates throughout various parts?
Go out on a limb, Tom.
Yeah, right. But 2 days ago, folks, we said with the beginning of the 9/11 anniversary that there's a high probability, based upon the threat doctrine of Islam. See, that's the whole thing. And by the end of tomorrow's show, you're gonna understand the threat doctrine of Islam And once the threat doctrine is understood, that's the key to understanding the public policy of those who implement Sharia Islam as a system of governance in a particular country. Then you'll understand the key to the Middle East. Then you'll understand why President Obama needs to put his golf clubs down and meet with Benjamin Netanyahu so that those two countries, Western countries, one of which somehow found its way into the middle of the Middle East, are necessary to be joined in a bond of brutal solidarity. Brutal solidarity. Sadly, the only doctrine, the only methodology that jihadi understands is brutality. And if you alleviate brutality and try to negotiate, you lose. It's that simple with jihadis. Jihadis must be brutally dealt with because their desire is to brutally destroy their enemy. We're dealing with, medieval and seriously basic approaches to life. Strong horse, weak horse. But today, what we're going to do, we have this, our room here looks like a newsroom somewhere. We got 5 people in here, computers going, and our desire for our great audience here at Trento Vision on WNN 1470 AM in Boca Raton, our desire is to analyze the problem that everyone's looking at on every news station right now. I mean, if you're sentient, you can't escape the fact that something's going on in the Middle East that's big. Today, we're going to analyze that for you. We're going to do that by defining certain key elements of the comprehensive understanding of what's taking place. So we're going to define that, have a discussion. We're going to take calls today. So if you want to talk to us, you can call at 888-565-1470. The call numbers for the station are 1470. 888 means it's free. All you have to remember is 565. 565 1470 with an 888 in front of it. We will take your calls. And we're gonna work through material. You got to stay with us for 2 days. Today's going to be the analysis, tomorrow the application, and we'll bang home some very interesting things in the show tomorrow. But I'd like to introduce a couple of our helpers here today. First, we have Mr. Alan Bergstein. Alan, can you say hello to everybody?
How are you? Thanks for tuning in.
What else you want to say?
Well, if you do stay with us today and tomorrow, you surely will be filled with information having great bearing on the international situation that you're watching on your television today.
And Alan is, as many of you know who are following the United West or Tom Trento, Alan is the senior member of the Bergstein-Trento debate team.
The oldest.
The oldest member, right? He's my brother from another mother. And we have had so far 2 debates where we debated Rabbi Barry Silver on these issues, and his partner was Mark Allen Siegel, who is no longer with us, no longer debating with us. Kind of moved out of the way. But tonight, and we're inviting the public to, tell them where we're going tonight, Alan. You can just
Tonight we're going into the main library in Fort Lauderdale. That's on St. Andrews Avenue, 100 St. Andrews Avenue. At 5 o'clock tonight, we'll be debating Jack Shafrel, who's a Democrat strategist from Broward County who speaks for the Democrat Party, and Rabbi Barry Silver, our good old friend from Boynton Beach, and they will take the Democrat side. We will take the conservative Republican side, and we must tonight discuss issues that have evolved over the past week.
Yeah, we originally were going to discuss the typical talking points for the Republican Party, Democrat Party, but when you have the Middle East inflamed, literally inflamed, when Americans are being killed on sovereign territory, I don't know if you understand that an embassy, a consulate, this is sovereign territory for the nation that is placed somewhere to establish relationships. When members of that country are killed in that land, that is an act of war in many, many respects. So when things like that happen, you got to push aside Obamacare and Social Security and all these critically important things. But for those of you who follow us, we've been telling you for a year and a half now, the issues in this election, November 6, 2012, the primary issue is national security. Even though polls, Alan and CJ, at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10%, guess what? It's polling at 100% today, and it's going to increase because the world is very unstable because of this president. That's what we're talking about tonight. Also with us is our show producer, CJ. Say hello to everybody.
Hello, everybody.
You guys watch? You guys are sharing that.
Oh, the guy stole my.
Yeah.
Okay, grab that microphone there.
Thank you for joining us for this very special show, very special week of shows. It's the end of the world as we know it, and we need to know why. So you need to tune in, listen, learn, and do something about it.
Yeah, the do something part will be coming for sure, because good Americans are needed to step in, fill the gap, and make something happen. I think we have a very good American with us right now, who is a true warrior. He's a gentleman, an intellect, a scholar, an author, and he was just here yesterday, wasn't it? Yesterday? Was he with us yesterday?
No.
2 days ago. 2 days ago.
Two.
The nights that we haven't been sleeping, we've been working on this stuff. A couple of days ago, our next guest was with us, and we had a very good time with our guest. He is here by Skype. Give me some sort of cue when he's ready to Skype in.
I'll bring the video in.
And I wanted him to share his thoughts because he has a vested interest in a real sense as to what's going on in the Middle East right now. So please welcome our wonderful friend and attorney, Mr. Peter Feynman.
Good afternoon, Mr. Trento. How are you today?
Doing, we're on it, man. This is a mess, and we're trying to make sense out of it.
It's really crazy, especially since I have a personal interest, as you alluded to in your introductory remarks. Since my son is presently an active duty captain in the United States Marine Corps, and in fact has already been shipped from his base in Hawaii to North Carolina. He's presently in North Carolina awaiting a flight to the Middle East, destination undisclosed. His security clearance has been increased to top secret. The only thing I know is that he'll be leaving within 48 hours.
Okay, well, as a father, is that your only son?
No, I have two stepsons and another biological son. The other biological son also lives in Hawaii, so he'll be keeping my daughter-in-law company, my Marine's wife. He'll be keeping her company while our Marine is out there doing his bit for American sovereignty, American security, and what appears to be now Americans' right of free speech.
And your son was a graduate of the academy, right?
Did graduate from the Naval Academy in 2008, chose the Marine Corps as his service, and has been serving actively since then, and was recently promoted to the rank of captain approximately 1 month ago.
I know you only have a few minutes with us. What you were here the other day. We spoke about a whole variety of issues, and now the world is starting to come into focus, according to the title of your book, the Coming Nightmare. Give us your thoughts, an overview of what you think is going on, and what you think we as Americans ought to be doing.
Yeah, thanks. The book is The Next Nightmare, and it chronicles the destruction of the United States should Obama get reelected. And here's some of the things I talk about, and it's coming true. When you project weakness as a foreign policy, as Obama has done, rather than strength, it encourages our enemies. And when he started on the World Apology Tour, when he first took office, our enemies take note. That leads us to the second question. Who are our enemies? And that's the second abject failure of the Obama administration's foreign policy, is their utter failure to identify who our enemies are And obviously, they're the jihadis, the Islamic supremacists. Of course, our president now calls what we're embarked upon as an overseas contingency operation. And in the face of Major Nidal Hassan's murder of 13 families in Fort Hood, calls that workplace violence.
Yeah.
We've got to identify our enemies. And then they encourage the supremacists in Libya and Egypt by helping them foment the revolution in the name of, quote, democracy. And so what we have here is the fruits of a failed foreign policy. And we know that if this continues, it will only get worse. A strong America promotes a peaceful world. A weak America promotes violence. We're seeing it before our very eyes. The failure to deter Iran, which is also ongoing, and another failure of Obama's foreign policy, will lead to greater threats to the world's security there. When you announce a timetable for your withdrawal in Afghanistan, that's going to lead to more violence. We've seen that there's been more deaths with American servicemen under Obama in Afghanistan than there were during the 8 years under President Bush.
Yeah.
Weakness breeds violence, breeds death, breeds insecurity. And there you have it, in a nutshell.
We're just putting your book, The Next Nightmare, up on the screen. And if someone wants to get the book to get a little inside look at some of what you're speaking about, where can they get it?
There's a website we have called thenextnightmare.com. It's also available on Amazon.com.
Okay, Peter, thank you very much. We're going to have you back on a regular basis for some input. And we know the Marines have been deployed. There's quick response teams that are now going to the embassies around the world that are the hot spots. And we'll be praying for your son and his deployment, and keep us in tune with what's going on, okay?
Thank you. And you and Alan, keep up the good work that you guys are doing, too.
God bless you and your son, Peter.
All right. Thank you. God bless.
All right.
All right.
Peter Feynman, giving us a good overview, I think, of the situation. And as I said, as we started out, folks, we're going to define some terms today. So get your pencils out if you want, or what you can do is to replay the show and send it to people afterwards, because this is going to be an educational show with some application tomorrow, with some action steps. Because here at our base of operations, we're activists making sure we get things done. And the specific thing that has to get done in the next 52 days or so is the defeat of the president that is the most dangerous president to the globe because of this weakness factor. Great way to start with my guests here is to get a handle on this thing, the Arab Spring. Because everyone's speaking about this as some sort of springtime, for Hitler, if you remember that song. Yeah. Let's start with you, Mr. Alan Bergstein. You're an accomplished expert on Jewish thought, on Israeli history, all of that. You're from New York. You're a former principal. You're an all-around good guy. The Arab Spring.
Well, the Arab Spring was given the designation of spring as a beginning, as a soft, sweet-smelling beginning, buds on the trees, the beginning of life, enjoyment, freshness. You see the sun coming up. You have the music. However, basically, it has turned into an Arab fall. This was a description to anesthetize people to think that this was something good. After all, we had two dictators. We had Gaddafi in Libya, and we had Mubarak in Egypt. They were terrible guys, but they were our friends. They didn't cause trouble for Israel. They did not cause trouble for us. Gaddafi even did away with his atomic weaponry when Bush threatened him. He was playing ball with us. He was not the best friend of ours, but listen, in World War II, we fought alongside of Joseph Stalin, another massive dictator. We helped him win. We helped him defeat the Eastern Bloc countries, Bulgaria, Yugoslavia, Romania, Poland. We handed it to them. and to him, and there was absolutely no problem supporting him during World War II. So now we supported what we knew was going to happen. We supported the Muslim Brotherhood. We knew they were in Egypt. James Clapper, our director of national.
Wait, hold on for the Brotherhood right now. We're gonna work our way there.
I jumped too far.
That's okay. That's okay. If you jump too far, I'll pull you back.
Good.
Okay.
Thank you.
By the way, Alan is a veteran of the Korean War. Thank you for your service there. CJ, take the other perspective. Take the view of the. You raising your hand? Is that what you're saying?
No, I want to move the mic.
Oh,
I think I have
she's
one.
got that one.
Can you hear me on this?
Take the position of I automatically make you a State Department official, okay? And now you're a State
My
Department
worst
official.
nightmare.
You're a State Department official, and you have 30 seconds, 40 seconds to give me the best spin you can on the wonder of the Arab Spring, how wonderful it is, and what you think the State Department's view is on the Arab Spring.
Well, what we think is that all over the Middle East, everyday people are rising up against their oppressive dictatorships and showing the world that they believe in democracy and true freedom for all people and a peaceful way to live with the rest of the world. And that is what they are demonstrating for. Freedom and democracy is breaking out all over the Middle East as they throw off the oppressors who are holding the common people down. And this is a wonderful thing. And if it weren't for the wonderful U.S. presence and influence that we have with our ambassadors all over the Middle East, and especially our Secretary of State, then this would not be possible. Obama, our president, went to Cairo.
Okay.
Obama went to
Get the
Cairo
shovels
and
out.
said, go forth and be free, and this is what we reached.
This is what happened.
The Arab Spring.
All right, speaking about Obama going forth, thank you. You're nauseating me, but that's okay. That was pretty good, actually. The reference to President Obama where'd he go? Where was the first place he went?
Didn't he speak to Egypt in June of 2009?
Yeah, I think it was June 4th, 2009 in Cairo, Egypt.
And his first phone call was to the Palestinians.
Where was this attack yesterday? In what city in Egypt was this attack at the
Benghazi.
embassy?
Benghazi.
No, the Egypt one was in Cairo. Oh.
Yeah.
And where is Hassan al-Banna from, who started the Muslim Brotherhood? Cairo! And what was the name of the dog that was on the bin Laden kill? Cairo!
Cairo, that's
It
right.
was.
We had Benson
It
here.
was the name of the dog. And we are not supposed to know that. That's ridiculous that we know the name of the dog that was on the bin Laden kill. But it was Cairo. Interesting that the SEALs named it Cairo, huh? Yeah. In any event, we're going to weave all of this together, folks, because on June 4th, 2009, the President of the United States, in an effort to explain to the West how wonderful Islam is, and everything CJ just said presupposes the fact that Sharia-compliant Muslims want Jeffersonian democracy. And therefore, if there's a desire in that individual or in that community, all a great Western country has to do is kind of come along, give them a few books, maybe give them a satellite TV, and boom, you got democracy. It's that simple. Well, in June of 2004, June 4th of 2009, his first foreign adventure, which he couldn't quite make it to Israel, President Obama went to Cairo, spoke there, and that was what we all refer to, we who are opposed to the president's national security methodology, we all said that was the beginning of the apology tour, where he's apologizing for the exceptionalism of the United States. He's apologizing for the confidence of the United States, for the projection of the strength of the United States. You know what bothered me during that whole speech? Any disaster worldwide that occurs, guess who the first people are that are there?
Us in Israel.
Yeah, Israel and the United States are the first people there with doctors and medical care, and that's forget about the fact that the tax dollars flowing out, but the dedication we have worldwide to healing and harming. How many countries right now do we control as an occupying force. Anybody know how many countries the United States controls?
Zilch?
Is that zero? Does that mean zero? So the president goes there in June and starts, and we all designated that as waving the white flag. When you understand the threat doctrine of Islam, you know that he waved the white flag to the jihadis. Now, the question is, how many jihadis does it take to screw up a country? Not too many, as you're going to see. So the Arab Spring was this movement. It started in the beginning of 2011 in Tunisia when the 26-year-old Bayazi, the young guy by the name of Bayazi, was moved by a police officer. His little fruit cart. He was harassed by a female police officer in Tunisia because he didn't have the right paperwork. So it's not funny,
Sounds
but
a lot like here.
yeah, he didn't have the right paperwork to set up his fruit stand, so he set himself on fire. Okay, that's one way to get rid of the street vendors in New York City, I guess, that are all over the place. But literally, this guy set himself on fire as a protest to the bureaucracy in Tunisia and the suppression of this Tunisian totalitarian government. Well, that literal spark inflamed several similar activities, and Egypt was next. And very quickly, guys, Alan's here, Mark here, we got together in February of 2011, and we put a video out that said, the Muslim Brotherhood is going to own Egypt and attack Israel in like a year.
And everybody called you a liar. Everyone said you were crazy, you're insane, and everything, and all around, and all the Team B2 people, too.
Yeah, I should let everybody in on my magical powers. I know how to read, okay? My magical powers are, I know how to read here at Trento Vision. By the way, it's the bottom of the hour here, Tom Trento on WNN 1470. You can listen to us if you're driving around South Florida on your radio, or if you have iHeartRadio. That's pretty cool. More and more people are getting iHeartRadio, the little app, on your 4S iPhones, which are now obsolete because 5 comes out tomorrow, and you could have it for about $5,000. You can listen on your iPhone, or go to TrentoVision.tv and watch the show there. We're replaying it immediately afterwards. You can watch it at your leisure or watch it live. You can call in if you want, 888-565-1470. You can do that. At 8 o'clock tonight, this show is rebroadcast on WNN 1470. So you got a lot of ways to come and listen to us. But the secret to our amazing capability to project and predict the future is I know how to read. I read emails. I'm one of the members of Team B2, and we had a book around here somewhere. That's okay. We'll show it later. Here it is. It's coming to me. Everybody needs to get a copy of this. It's called Sharia, the Threat to America. By the end of tomorrow, we're going to explain to you how Sharia is the essence of the threat doctrine that will tie together the Arab Spring, the OIC, Organization for Islamic Cooperation, the MB, the Muslim Brotherhood, Benghazi, the city where Chris Stevens was killed less than 24 hours ago, which is now a base for that group called Al-Qaeda, and a few other key components to unlock the mysteries of the Middle East, and then we'll tell you why Israel's in so much trouble. Now, there's 19 authors to this book. I'm privileged to be one of them. And we have a daily correspondence that starts about 6 o'clock in the morning and ends about midnight of everyone emailing on whatever the relevant information is. I literally, the past 24 hours, could not keep up with the emails. They just rolled in like this from all the various authors here commenting on it. And these people are giants.
Tell them some of the co-authors.
Oh, some of the names of the co-authors. Let's see. The first one here is Mark Twain. He's on our team. And then Charles Dickens. He's a great guy. He's a funny guy. Funny guy. We have Jerry Boykin, Lieutenant General Jerry Boykin. Delta Force, let's see. Ed Soyster, DIA, Defense Intelligence Agency Director. Jim Woolsey, CIA Director. Johnny Guandolo, FBI agent, former FBI agent. Claire Lopez, retired 20-year CIA Frank Gaffney. It goes on and on and on. Buy the book, $14, Amazon.com.
And the Last Jihad co-author?
Oh, Andy McCarthy, of course. Andrew McCarthy, The Grand Jihad, and his new book called Springtime in Arabia, or Spring Fever. His new book is just out. It's an e-book right now. He's going nuts. He goes, man, this is perfect timing. You can get Spring Fever, Andy McCarthy. He's the prosecutor of the Southern District of New York that put the Blind Sheikh in jail. The Blind Sheikh, what's the relationship of the Blind Sheikh to all of this?
First World Trade Center bombing.
He was the imam, the sheikh. Actually, he's got earned degrees in Islam to be a sheikh, and he was the spiritual leader. Is the spiritual leader now for one of the spiritual leaders for the Muslim Brotherhood. And right now, our government is negotiating with President Morsi from Egypt to release Abdul Rahman, the blind sheikh that Andy put in jail almost 20 years ago.
Maybe Jonathan Pollard can get out at the same time.
That would be interesting. So we're going to weave all of this together and give you a crash course. You're going to have your BA in Mideast national security issues. But right now we have a caller on the line. We'll go to Michael, and we don't have the caller. He fell off. He fell off the big call cliff.
By the way, isn't the seat of Islamic jurisprudence in a city called Cairo?
Cairo, yes, yes, it is. That's where the Brotherhood started. And let's go to the Brotherhood right now. We have the Arab Spring, which is by the leftists and the Sharia-compliant Muslims in the world, a very positive movement. And they both think it's positive for exactly the opposite reasons. Okay? Now, this is critically important, everybody listening and watching. The Arab Spring, which if you're trying to figure out, okay, we have Michael back. Let's bring Michael on the line. And Mike, you're with Tom Trento here, Trento Vision. How can we help you out?
Thank you, Tom, for everything you're doing. There's a term, I believe it's a wrong term, a misnomer, called the Arab Spring. It should actually be called the Islamo-Fascist Spring. I think if we just use the label Islamo-Fascist Spring, then it clarifies what's been going on the whole time. So I always encourage people, can you just please say not Arab Spring, but Islamo-Fascist Spring? Or even more clarity would be, it's the Islamic Spring. Islam is equal to Islamo-Fascism, and we need to understand that. It always has been. We can't say moderate Islam. When we say moderate Islam, people automatically think that moderate Islam is on the side of America. No, moderate Islam is also on the side of Islamo-Fascism, or Islam, always has been. And it's destroying this. This is a war of ideas, an ideological war, and terminology and labels are everything. So every time someone says we have radical Islam as opposed to moderate Islam, we are cutting our own throats in the ideological war. So I encourage everyone, moderate Islam is not on our side. When we say Islamic Spring, when we say
Arab Spring.
That kills
all right, Michael, that's a very interesting perspective. What part of the country or world do you live in?
I live in Los Angeles. I'm retired now, real estate investor, but I always enjoy history, and I really appreciate the intelligence and the wisdom that your program is presenting. It gives me some hope in this world of darkness, let's say that, of intellectual darkness. You guys are
you ain't seen nothing yet. We're so intelligent and so brilliant it isn't funny. I mean, we trip over ourselves.
I'm counting on you.
Okay, thank you.
The world is counting on you.
Thank you very much. And we do get out to Los Angeles pretty often, and you got a bad jihadi problem in Southern California, let me tell you, man.
Oh yeah, they already took it over. The caliphate is operating here.
You're not kidding. Okay, Michael, keep watching the show. Are you watching it on?
We're watching online. Your program,
Great.
United West online.
Great. What did you say, Mark?
Tell him Tell Chief Downing we said
Oh yeah. Tell Deputy Chief of the LAPD, Michael Downing, head of counterterrorism. Tell him Tom Trento and the boys and girls said hello. He's not quite our friend. We outed him in his relationship with the MB.
You're warming him up to be your friend, right?
Yeah, right, exactly. Hey, we reached out to him, but he's bought and sold by by Siddiqui out there and Al Mariati and all those guys.
Oh yes.
So
the oil money has bought and paid for
Yep.
our president, so of course they could easily buy and pay for a sheriff.
the LAPD. All right, thanks, Michael. Keep listening. Tell your friends. But Michael brings up an interesting point. The syntax, folks, the terminology is critically important. We, the Team B folks, took several years before we camped on Sharia as the most accurate way to point to the threat doctrine. We went through the Islamo-fascism wave, which still isn't bad. Islamo, fascism, fascist, totalitarian, supremacist. But we're going to argue that Sharia is the most effective way to identify the threat doctrine. Let's talk about the MB a little bit. We discussed the Arab Spring. What is the role, you guys, CJ and Alan, what was the role of the Muslim Brotherhood in the Arab Spring?
The Muslim Brotherhood, a little bit of a history. World War II, the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem went to Nazi Germany, and he was part of the Nazi movement with the Muslim Brotherhood and radical Islam. And he was part and parcel of organizing the Muslim troops in the Albanian countries.
Who is the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem for our listeners and viewers?
He was the leader of the Islamic faith in the Middle East.
He's a religious guy.
Religious leader. He was also the uncle of Yasser Arafat.
So he joined with who?
With Adolf Hitler.
So the religious leader of the Muslims, the religion of peace, joins with the atheist, Satanist Adolf Hitler.
Yeah, I'm the only one here who did live through World War II, and I never remember anyone saying moderate Nazism. There was never moderate Nazism or radical Nazism. It was Nazism. So the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem went to Europe. He encouraged Hitler to promise that when he did take over the entire Middle East, the Jews of Palestine would be wiped out. Palestine, Egypt had a large group and North Africa. However, fortunately, the Muslim Brotherhood unfortunately, they lived through World War II, and they're still alive, and they started...
Alive and doing well.
Yeah, when you talk to people about the Muslim Brotherhood, a lot of Jewish people say, what's wrong with the Brotherhood? We have a Brotherhood in every temple. We have the Brotherhood of Electrical Workers Union, MB, whatever that is. So Brotherhood is a good name for them. It shows cordiality, friendliness, and what have you. But the Muslim Brotherhood was part and parcel of the Arab Spring, as we call it.
CJ, your thoughts on the MB, the Muslim Brotherhood?
Well, I think it's the source of evil in the universe right now, not just in the Middle East, but all over the world, and also in the United States, where we have many offshoots of the Muslim Brotherhood operating as politically correct groups that we should identify with who promote Muslim interests here in the United States, such as CARE,
Council on
Islamic Relations, such as ISNA, and all of those groups are dedicated to making sure that Sharia gets implemented in the United States and that we make it happen and that free speech is squashed in this country. And that's how the Muslim Brotherhood comes into the United States. Also, they are Hamas. Hamas is the Palestinian offshoot of the Muslim Brotherhood, and we know what Hamas is all about. Of course, they took that out of the DNC platform, didn't they?
Oh, yes, they did.
Yeah.
May I just interject with one thing?
Sure, of course.
The Muslim Brotherhood is so well entrenched in this country, the second most important person in the State Department is Muslim Brotherhood.
Who's that?
Her name is Huma Abedin, the wife of Anthony.
Oh, you're just casting aspersions on somebody.
Casting aspersions, dispersions, it's the truth.
You and Michelle Bachmann, I can't believe you. You guys collaborating or something?
Well, there's fact behind it. Her father, Huma Abedin's father, was the founder of the Muslim Brotherhood in Western Michigan University. He's passed away. Her brother is a leader of the Muslim Brotherhood in Oxford, England. And her mom the sweetheart mom of Huma Abedin, is the leader of the women's section of the Muslim Brotherhood in Saudi Arabia. She runs the university at which our State Department head, Hillary Clinton, addressed the university 2 months ago in Saudi Arabia under the auspices of the Muslim Brotherhood. And she herself worked for the Muslim Brotherhood before she went to work for Hillary Clinton. So the State Department now, all of the secrets of our country are open to Huma Abedin.
Is that the same State Department that we're talking about, right? Oh, here we have, for the viewers, we have the Mufti of Jerusalem. You want to replay that again?
Yeah.
Watch this, everybody. And for the listening audience, Mark is playing video of the religious leader. This is like the Pope in the Catholic Church having a meeting with Adolf Hitler. Here is the Mufti coming in and meeting with Adolf Hitler, just the Heil Hitler salute and all of that, 1944 or so, maybe a little earlier. Fabulous footage. CJ, you had a point, and then I want to wrap up the MB for a second.
Yes. Also, who is this lady married to?
Anthony Weiner.
Okay, this is like 5 more shows we got to do on this now. Yes. Hillary Clinton's right-hand woman is Huma Abedin, who's tied in with the Muslim Brotherhood. And all we asked for, the 5 Congress people, recently led by Michelle Bachmann, was to determine whether or not Huma Abedin had a proper vetting and investigative process through the State Department, because the State Department criteria investigates relatives, friends, and known associations. And all the people on Team B said, there's no way in the world, with what you just laid out, the litany of connections to the Brotherhood and Sisterhood, that Huma can pass the State Department's security clearance, smell test, the Huma test, without getting a special waiver. But she got a special waiver. We don't know yet. We're still trying to find out.
We don't know if she has a waiver. We have no idea.
But she is married to Anthony Weiner. Guess, ladies and gentlemen, who married Huma Abedin and Anthony Weiner? Anybody know?
Was it Bill?
It was Bill.
Clinton?
Yes, Bill Clinton lost his law license, and now he marries people.
Is that the same Bill Clinton that is here in town pushing the Democrat candidates up in Palm Beach today?
He has a notary public license. That's probably why he married them.
Now, for you Democrats out there, if you don't see these weird connections between the Muslim Brotherhood, Hillary Clinton's right-hand person, Anthony Weiner, Bill Clinton, this whole thing, if that doesn't bother you, then you just aren't interested in knowing anything that's above the surface. You're just not interested. That's okay. We're going to try to help you become interested. Here's where we're at, folks. We had a horrible situation occur yesterday and ongoing right now in Egypt at the embassy, and a very devastating situation in Benghazi. The embassy in Libya is not in Benghazi, it's in Tripoli. But the consulate, the building that's one step below the embassy and built for, the consulate has a different purpose than the embassy. It's a more direct relationship with the people. Our ambassador was there, and it's not clear yet whether he was trying to escape or whether exactly how the killing went down, though online there are pictures of his body being carried around, and I don't know how people interpret that they're taking him to the hospital. They could be taking him to torture him. But in any event, that happened at the consulate in Benghazi. So what we are doing here today on Trento Vision is taking a step back and sketching out the big picture. We'll zero in tomorrow on the specifics. We looked at the Arab Spring, which is a misnomer. It's a Muslim Brotherhood movement to reestablish the caliphate and implement Sharia law. That's all the Arab Spring is about. Now, could there have been somewhere in there Arabs who truly wanted democracy as we understand it? Of course. Is that a majority of the Arabs? Certainly not in Egypt by all the polling. The majority of Egyptians, what, Mark?
We'll bring up the picture of him for our viewers, of him being dragged.
Yeah, you throw it up there, yeah. I mean, it's all over the place. The situation in Egypt, 60 million people, about 90% want a Sharia-compliant government, and they have it. They have the Muslim Brotherhood now in charge. I'm going to throw in one other piece. We're going to tie that together, and the picture's going to start clearing up as to what's going on in the Middle East and what we're trying to do here to provide some insight for you. The Innocence of Muslims. Anybody know what that is? The Innocence of Muslims?
It's a little film trailer going around the internet that actually nobody has seen.
It was released July 2nd.
Yeah, the Innocence of Muslims, and you can go to Wikipedia, or I mean, this stuff is now all over the internet. The Innocence of Muslims is a hour-and-a-half film. The hour and a half is in Arabic, and it's out there. I saw a version of it, but there's a 13-minute trailer on YouTube called The Mohammed Movie. And if you want to laugh your head off, I mean, it's the stupidest movie. Did you see it? Did you look at it? Did you look at it?
Yes, I did.
It was incoherent and ridiculous, and
It's like college kids putting something together.
everybody I showed said that's a joke.
Yeah.
It looked like Woody Allen, Mel Brooks, and Monty Python all did some sort of super duper acid, and somebody gave them a camera and they tried to make a movie. It's goofy, right? But that is the precedent, the presented precedent as to why Chris Stevens was killed yesterday. Okay, this movie is being blamed for by people that ought to know better, being blamed for Muslims who can't control themselves when they watch stupid movies, killing an ambassador of the United States of America. The movie was made by a gentleman by the name of Sam Basili, an Israeli Jew, supposedly. Who knows if these names are real? Supposedly a $5 million budget. We don't know. This is what's floating out there. And he says he got a group of about 100 Jewish donors to make this movie. Well, I want to meet these donors.
I was going to say, yeah, I'd like to find some of
Don't
those
write checks for
ourselves.
anything,
Yeah.
Hey, I'm making a movie. Come on, write me some checks, I mean, the movie is ridiculous, but there's several important points going on. We want the audience to go watch this movie because you're going to go, okay, if these people are going to kill Americans over something as stupid as this, maybe I have to now get engaged in this civilization battle, because these animals are going to wreak destruction until they're stopped some way. And what we have to do, you wanted to say something?
No, I was just listening to you, but go ahead.
Here's the very, very important point. We have this movie, The Innocence of Muslims, which was out in when? July?
July 2nd.
July 2nd.
July 2nd. July, August, September. 2 months ago, the movie, 2 months ago.
6,913 hits.
Okay, so the trailer came out, a 13-minute trailer, 2.5 months ago. We know a little something about video. If you put a video up and you get 6,000 hits in the first hour, that's pretty good. 2.5 months, there's nothing there. Okay, you got nothing there. Well, what happened? And here's the teachable moment for the viewing and listening audience. What happened was somebody took the 13-minute trailer, which is in English, and dubbed over. There's one really stupid scene where Mohammed, the actor they got for Mohammed, he's got a voice like this. Oh, hello, everybody. He's got like a real kind of high, feminine voice.
Like Mr. Bill.
Yeah, like a Mr. Bill voice. Hello, I'm Mohammed. You may need to follow. But then there's a transition in the movie toward the end where he becomes this, gallant warrior. And his voice is down here like this, but they looped in somebody else's voice, and it's not even synced right. I mean, that's how bad this thing was. It was like a Japanese,
Anime.
Yeah. So I am Mohammed, In any event, somebody put an Arabic script to this thing, an Arabic voiceover, and it started playing in the Middle East. Well, there's a couple of imams out there that are brilliant guys. They know how to seed revolutions. They know that the jihadis, 15 to 35-year-old jihadis, if you tell them they're all sexually repressed, first of all, because of the doctrines of Islam, and if you tell them that the Quran guarantees them eternal life in paradise if they die in a jihad, if you tell them that, and if you can somehow have a religious authority issue a declaration, a direction, or a fatwa, you have the perfect storm of launching this human missile to go wreak destruction somewhere on somebody. So a few of these imams started playing this 13-minute goofy movie and bringing in these guys and saying, look at this, our prophet is being disgraced. And all of a sudden there's a little bit of a movement, and guess what day was selected?
9/11.
How about 9/11?
How about yesterday, September 11th?
Because they have to make a statement on a statement day.
Now, develop that, CJ. What do you mean by that?
Well, I think you already explained this several days ago.
Well, then let me see what Judah says. We have Judah on the line. Let's bring Judah in. And Judah is coming in, it looks like. And then we'll get back to Judah. You there?
Yes.
Hi, you with Tom Trento and the team here. What are your thoughts?
I just want to, first of all, salute you and your colleagues for doing an outstanding job discussing issues which are not brought up in the mainstream media. I wanted to say that you had a gentleman on, Peter, before, who I wholeheartedly agree with when he says we have to identify the enemy. The enemy is, and let me preface my remarks by saying I realize there are tolerant, decent Muslims out there, but the enemy is Islam. And until we name that enemy as that, we will not push the tolerant Muslims and those who want to change Islam into a reformation, because that's what's absolutely needed. But you know, certainly the cosmopolitan chief, he was at the 9/11, Pentagon commemoration ceremony, and he's saying, "Well, we named the enemy as Al Qaeda, but not Islam." Excuse me.
Yeah.
Life.
Well, Judah, you raise a very controversial issue, but one I think that needs to be addressed. We address it, and we will address it in the shows ahead. Keep listening. We're going to have to wind it up soon. We'll let you go now, but
Can I say one more thing?
Sure, go ahead. Just make it quick. Sure.
Yeah, real quick. If even though we could, we can name Islam as the enemy, and we must also reiterate that there are tolerant Muslims out there.
Where are they, Judah?
Huh?
Where are they?
Alan is asking.
I'm looking around.
How about Zudi Jasser? He's one.
Well, that's
Are there
what.
very few of them?
He has a death threat against his life.
Yeah, all right, thanks, Judah. You raise critically important questions that we will deal with here. And he answered Zudi Jasser to you.
Yes.
Zudi's a friend of ours. Problem is, Zudi's not a Muslim. As much as Zudi thinks he's a Muslim, he's not, according to many Muslims.
Yeah,
who
real
are
practicing Muslims don't consider him to be a Muslim.
No, they have this whole thing where they can never criticize another Muslim, but in terms of the doctrinal commitment and allegiance to that which makes you a Muslim, Zudi's left it. I mean, he's left it. The Quran's not totally the word of God. It's got mistakes in it. It needs to be.
So he's dead meat.
Yeah, he is.
He's practicing Zudiism.
Zudilam. But he raises a good point, Judah did, and we will address in future shows the issue of Islam, whether or not Islam is the enemy or a threat doctrine within, or how to fix this thing, because this stuff ain't going away, ladies and gentlemen, that we're witnessing right now on the news shows, and it's going to get worse in the next days to come. We looked at this movie, which we'd like everybody to take a look at. That was supposedly the catalyst for the attack on the embassy and the consulate in Benghazi in Libya. But the real story behind it is it was an orchestrated attack on 9/11 against the two buildings, the two countries. Not so much for this movie. The movie was really irrelevant. It was the precedent, basically, something to point to for a statement to be made on 9/11, on September 11th. Why in the world would a country like Libya that we helped liberate in a country like Egypt that we're funding and we're cutting our time with the Israeli military and going over and helping the Israelis, why would a country like Egypt want to, on those days, disgrace us by attacking us? Anybody know anything about that?
Well, how about two buildings? The significance of two buildings on 9/11. This was well planned. This was orchestrated, perhaps in Tehran, Iran, with the conference that they recently had in Iran. But again, it's the significance that they show how powerful they are and how weak we are.
CJ, get 30 seconds,
Yeah,
and then I'll
how
wrap it
weak
up.
we are. Can I just read really quickly what the initial response
Absolutely,
was?
this is critical.
Our embassy response to having radical protesters burn up our embassy in Cairo is: the Embassy of the United States in Cairo condemns the continuing efforts by misguided individuals to hurt the religious feeling of Muslims, as we condemn efforts to offend believers of all religions. Today, the 11th anniversary of September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks on the United States, Americans are honoring our patriots and those who serve our nation as the fitting response to the enemies of democracy. Respect for religious beliefs is a cornerstone of American democracy. We firmly reject the actions by those who abuse the universal right of free speech to hurt the religious beliefs of others. That is our State Department. This is what the Arab Spring is to our State Department, that Americans exercising free speech are offensive to Muslims in other countries and who then have the right to invade our embassies.
And we're going to start tomorrow's show with that statement, which is a perfect launch into the OIC, the Organization for Islamic Cooperation, which is really the caliphate that wants to destroy the West and the United States. Stay tuned tomorrow, part 2 of what the heck is going on in the Middle East. And once again, our condolences to the Stevens family and the Smith family for your loss, and the other two yet to be identified. Our boys are on the way, and justice will be served. Have a good day. Tom Trento signing off.
Thanks for tuning in to Trento Vision, where bad ideas get pulverized and the truth will set you free. Your host, Tom Trento, is an activist street fighter with earned degrees in law enforcement, theology, and philosophy. To reach Tom, call 561-319-5533, 561-319-5533, or email him at tom@trentovision.com. Tune in again weekdays at 2 p.m. on AM 1470.